Welcome to The Thriving Misfits, the podcast where we celebrate resilience, embrace diversity, and challenge norm. I am your host, Fiona Young, and today we are thrilled to introduce Nikki, a purpose-driven changemaker who believes in the power of communication to connect and collaborate with people, for people. Nikki is a former PR director with over 10 years of experience in strategic branding and communication, currently making waves as a DE&I consultant. Now, she is passionate about advocating for LGBTQ+, economic empowerment, inclusive workplaces, and transgender professional leadership. Nikki works tirelessly on both national and also international stages to create lasting impact for underrepresented groups. Nikki used to serve as the regional representative of Tourism Malaysia and the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy Indonesia, taking care of the Thailand and Indochina market. Nikki is also a sought-after lecturer and speaker on topics including tourism management, communication, LGBTQ+ issues, and intercultural dynamics. So join us as we delve into the inspiring journey of Nikki, exploring her purpose for connecting people and her mission to create a truly inclusive and sustainable workforce. Welcome, Nikki.
Hi, Sadika everyone. I'm Nikki Phinyapincha from Thailand. Thanks so much, Fiona, for having me for this podcast. Thank you.
Absolutely. When I heard your name and I saw your profile, I just thought I need to bring you on board as a guest because you are so unique, you're so beautiful, and all the things that you're doing to empower misfits, right, in the world is just amazing. And we want to know more about what you're doing. So let's kick it off with some rapid fire round questions. So if you could assign any famous LGBTQ+ celebrity as your PR assistant for a day, who would it be and what outrageous campaign idea would you pitch together?
Oh my God, that's a very funny question. And as a PR myself, I never, get that kind of assistant, in terms of, how we can get that big name of the people to come and work for us, by the way. But I mean, if I would choose, I think I would pick Lavry Coates. I think she's the one who's, really, voices, on this kind of, transgender people and also the LGBTQ advocate. You know why? Because I think she's the first, transgender, like openly transgender actress, and that, owned her baby doll, Barbie doll are the first, person. And I think that kind of the mass, let's say, PR and initiative that really make people understand that actually transgender people, they're not really need to be, fit into that, let's say, stereotype or, beauty norm or beauty standard that make people just think, okay, we need to look so very feminine, because in the end, gender identity is not defined by your own appearance, but also I think the way that we think, the way we behave, the way that we see ourselves as a female. It doesn't mean that you must be, fit into that norm. And I think that if you could have the Barbie doll, in different kind of like body size, color skin, and the way that we put the face is really, you don't need to be, let's say, feminitization, like facing that way. I think we can understand, this is a tool of how people are so diverse and different in terms of appearance and the way that we think about themselves. I think she would, really help me on that too. And then in the end, all the kids and all the younger generation will see that actually when they see that face in that Barbie doll, they understand, wow, this is a world that they can fit in themselves.
Oh, yeah. I loved her performance in Barbie. And she's just such a beautiful person inside and outside, right? And yeah, I think she would make an amazing PR assistant for you. Now, what is the...
Pay for her then.
You never know. Now, what's the quirkiest, what's the funniest piece of advice you have ever given or received about navigating DEI in the workplace?
So I think people just, okay, let's do something. Let's do activities. Let's do talk. Let's do event. Let's do campaign like PR. And I think what I mean, the outcome of that activity comes with, okay, you get image, you get awareness. But sorry, like for DEI, we talk about impact. And I think trying to shift from image to impact, it's not easy for sure. It's a long-term investment. It's the way that you should start with not what, but you should start with why. I think that's the first question I'm trying to even educate my clients and educate myself to. Oftentimes, what we do, we never thought about why we are doing this. I think that's the first question we need to ask and reflect to ourselves. When you can address that why you are doing this, because of course you see, the inequality, you see the systemic barriers that, limited the opportunity for these, marginalized people to get access into this space, to get access into inclusive space where they want to be part of that. And I think when you get the why and you are doing this, even especially in the company, right, you always start with your purpose. So why you are doing this? But once you have that vision and you have that strategy, and then you can turn that, high level of why into, let's say, operational level, like how to do and what to do, all the things that you could do. Because in the end, we can't come up with a solution without knowing what the issue or challenges or the problem that you are having to tackle and why you need D&I in your company. Because some company, like, you have your own nature of inclusivity, but you never thought of, wow, that's called inclusive already, right? So I think it comes with the why first, and then you will see how and what you're going to do next.
I love that. And it sounds to me that you are applying the golden circle by Simon Sinek, because it's, yes, he talks about start with why, right? And this is always what I also advocate for. No matter whether it's DEI or even your personal life, you need to understand, right? You need to understand your purpose, and then the how and the what will eventually evolve. But I hear you. What I see a lot, not a lot, but what I see some companies are doing is that they want to jump on that bandwagon where they want to embrace DEI with running campaigns, with having initiatives, but it looks quite ingenuine. It's not very authentic because they think that they need to do it because of marketing purposes, because of employer branding. But I think when the organization, and especially the senior leaders, they are genuine about embracing DEI, creating that sense of belonging in the workplace, then everyone feels in the workplace, everyone feels that they can be part of it, that they also play a role. Because essentially, I think you and I agree that DEI is not just something that senior leaders or HR have a role to play in, but everyone has in all levels of the organization.
100%. Yeah.
Now, your identity, your background is quite fascinating, very, very interesting. So you grew up in Thailand. Were there any particular events or influences that shaped your understanding and also advocacy for DEI, especially in the LGBTQ plus space?
Well, if I could, trace back on my life journey at why I'm doing what I'm doing today, right? I think, you know, coming from the very, let's say, low socioeconomic background, I really worked very hard in that time because, to support the family and help family to like sell the food in the food stores. And, one day when I was like, I'm watching all the dishes that the customer just like ate, and I just, have that curiosity. Um, like mirror to myself, um, Nikki, are you still like want to do this for the whole life? Or what is next? What is the journey that you can do? And what is the journey that you want to pursue? Rather than just sitting here, live on daily life basis, like earn for daily life basis, and that kind of stuff happening because it's very hard, my childhood on rather than just being able to, do a lot of things, have fun, but it was very tough trying to, support a family. So when that curiosity or question, triggers, you know, my trigger myself. So I thought, okay, first of all, I think I should do my own business and do things that I can earn more rather than just be an employer. And that time, I think that kind of little question and little reflection about yourself really trigger you to become who you are today. If you know exactly what you really want, and then during the time, rather than trying to fit in the stereotype, transgender people who normally go to beauty pageants or work in that a makeup artist in this kind of beauty media or entertainment industry, or even in the sex industry, all this kind of underexploitative or underpaid job, it comes to you know um, shape your future. I didn't want that to. I mean, I didn't want it to allow myself to be in that way. But don't get me wrong, I respect other job, but I think I want to see myself, challenge myself to be in other job sector, for example, like business owner or professional, setting. So, and that, curiosity shaped me, my journey of becoming, a professional, workers in, corporate sectors. And then it really, changed my life. And then after that, I really pursue on this career, try to building up, my own space in the career setting. And, a lot of discrimination and harassment happening through my life. And of course, I didn't want to go into deep into detail, but of course, you can imagine, as a transgender people who has different experiences, background, and then got this kind of, let's say, limited opportunities to thrive for own space and career. But in the end, with that kind of curiosity, resilience about things that come to my life, but I choose how to react them with, empathy and resilience. And then I trying to make difference, right? Because in the end, you never know what your journey in life would be until you try it. And you're trying to connect the dots of what you have experienced and how you can make life better. So in the end, being transgender people in this society, even though it seems like, oh, China is so welcoming, but in reality, it's different. And the society still like look at you in different way. It's not what you expected, but yeah, with that quality that has practices from all of this life, so make me become like who I want to be. And the best thing is that for now, I can really have the resources to help people to grow. Those who see their life like not like me, but in this journey together. That's why we're building up this, a network of people with the same mindset together.
Well, that's really great. And to learn from your background and, now helping others to also feel empowered. How is it? You mentioned just now that people have this perception of Thailand being so welcoming to transgender individuals, but it's actually not the reality. So, how was it for you how old were you when you first noticed that, you might be transgender? How was that experience for you to even share that with your family members, your friends?
Well, that's a very good question. Like coming out, I think is another privilege as well. If you are able to coming out to your family, okay, that's so good privilege. But I apologize that I I didn't have that privilege. I didn't like out to my family yet even. But in this society, even my family, um, we are not taught to be able to let's say had a safe conversation together. And I think that depends on the family. But my family, we hadn't had that yet. Even in the past few like 15 years back, for example, when I realized that okay, I really want to to live my life as, for example, a female, right? So very long hair, do makeup and dress like a female. um I just started like I think 15 years old when
Hmm.
I turned that mindset of okay, I want to be feminine. So how would I do? I start taking hormone without any, suggestions from my family, without knowing, without them knowing that, okay, I was taking hormone because I have friends in the school, like, where we learn from each other, okay, how to take hormone, which is, of course, not like a very good example, because it's quite risky for your health. But, with that ambitious, to become a female. So I was just like, okay, try it, whatever. I've been passed with a lot of, let's say, unconventional, let's say, taking hormone and that kind of learning how to be female because we didn't have that kind of role model. And, the friends in circle where they can give a very, practical and making sense advices. So, 15 years old and the family was not really open for me to that space. So I trying to like when I go back home, I hide myself. I didn't get a chance to talk to them. But when at school, you have friends, so we can be whoever. But again, in the school, teachers also like really didn't accept us that much, and they didn't really help us that much. So we kind of like sometimes we hide, sometimes we open. So that's why it's kind of like on and off, in that journey. So and up until now, I even didn't have a chance to like speak clearly with the family of okay, I who I am and why I want this one. But again, living together with that kind of society and family, so I just like I'm starting, to become who I am, dressing up, making up, and I think this way, a particular way of how I shape my life on my own thing, I prove the family that yes, I being in this body, in this gender identity, but I can still earn love life, have the quality of life, and not really doing bad things to other people. So I think the level of acceptance is not communicated, out loud or clearly, but they just see and notice, and then they just like open mind to me. So in the end, I think because of I really now support my family on my own, so I can really, prove that okay, I can do things, I can live life,
Mm.
that kind of barrier. So
Yeah, great. It's interesting to see that your family has somewhat indirectly accepted you for who you are without talking about it, right? Yeah. Okay. Now you mentioned you didn't have many role models when you grew up, when you found out that you might identify more as female and that you identify as a transgender. I see you now being such a great role model for young individuals who may want to transition, and you're also set up the company called Trans Talents. So, can you share a success story from your work at Trans Talents, you as a DEI consultant, that also led to significant positive changes within a client's organization?
oh, thank you so much. A very good question as well for me to reflect. I think as I mentioned earlier, I have that curiosity, right? So what I can do differently, how my life could be, different places from what I was, that time. So have that endeavor of, doing business, to have more financial freedom and to have my freedom of choice on how to choose who you are. Being in this transgender, identity and to get that success is quite a big challenge through my life. And then again, you have a dream, but dream without action, I think it's just a dream or it's just a word, right? So I think you should take the action and then pave your way towards that journey. And of course, you need to have all of these resources, network of growth, to help you to grow as well. I think that's very important. And again, if I were to share the success story, I think it's quite. I want even just to remind myself, to have that success is come with different failures, disappointments, skills, and all of that, limited, opportunities that really, really, really teach you to have a clarity and goals for what you want to do. I don't know about success, to be honest. I just want to have that clarity. And then I have all the goals that I need to success. I think that's very important for me. I set the goals of what, my business, like Trans Talents as a consultant, we want to achieve. Of course, our mission is to help organizations to transform the way they think about inclusivity and the way they think about diversity. It's not just about having that um, different people into your organization, right? I think in the end, it's just kind of like tokenism because it's just having that people without understand who they are, what they need, and how you can empower them to become part of that driving trend to your organization. So having inclusion culture in your company is one of the very key elements of how we create the diversity, equity, inclusion for the organization, right? So having diverse people coming in and have that inclusive and safe space for them to become not only who you are, but to become your, let's say, foundation of growth to your business organization. I think that's the key mission we want to achieve. And so far, we have helped, more than, I think, like 10, because my business is like a year. And then we have helped more than 20 businesses on how to make more inclusive policy, and I have trained more than, I think, 1,000 hours already on diversity inclusion in different topics that cater or customized to the organization vision and the way that they see themselves. We turn different things like unconscious bias, everyday inclusion, how to create a fearless organization, or building up psychological safety, and how to make the inclusive hiring and inclusive leadership. So different topics we cover based on the client, needs and priority. And I think another milestone that we achieve is that because I think in the end of the day, we're trying to work with organization to open door, for
Mm.
the, untapped talents to get into the organization, to perform, and then to thrive, as a, young generation of leaders in the organization. In the same time, we need to empower our community as well because, and for now, I have created a network of growth that I always mentioned. Network of growth. I think it's very important to have that LGBTQ professionals network. And I think we have never had that kind of, let's say, professional gathering together to become network, right? Because everyone just have their own advocacy, their own background, and their own
Mm.
knowledge. But in the end, when I gather these people, now we have around 50 people, into that kind of gathering. And then we share all the challenges and we share resources. And then it's like, those who can recommend jobs for these people, those who can really come up with initiative, right?
Yeah.
Whatever events, campaign, and even for now, we gather all this professional network to do the first Pride Economic Forum in Thailand. Because in the end, we really want people to understand that, well, having you as part of the society is not just about social work and make it on legal perspective and have human rights basis, but also we need to have, let's say, economic empowerment, or where you really have the freedom in terms of finance, investment, and living choice, and
Mm.
having that better quality of life is very important for us to let's say not only have human rights basis, but also the life that you want to live. I think that's the mission we are trying to shape that way now. But so far, it's so happy to have these people allow and making change together in different way.
Oh, yeah. I think that's great to have all these masterminds together. And really, we're stronger together if we join forces, right? So now, Nikki, we have a lot of folks who join us on this podcast and they feel that they don't quite belong, whether in society, whether in the workplace, they feel like a misfit. Now, as a misfit, maybe we then tend to complain that we are not being included, that we are different. People don't want to associate with us. But how can we empower ourselves if we feel that we don't belong? How can we create a more inclusive and supportive culture?
So I would say in two different perspectives. First of all, if you ask about how we ourselves, for example, like LGBTQ people or non-LGBTQ people, you don't feel belong to yourself, right? I think that's the first question. Oftentimes we always think like we are not good enough, we shouldn't be in this body, we are like imposter syndrome somehow, I think it really differs from level of understanding yourself and level of acceptance and confidence as well. So I think in the end of the day, if you don't know who you are, what you want, you need to have that session with yourself to have that clarity. Again, I always come with the clarity. If you don't have that clarity in your life, in who you are and what you do, I think that's a challenge for you to even go further in terms of acceptance and feel belonging, kind of that stuff. I think you need to understand like who you are at the first stage. And you don't need to be a copycat, to the other people. Like being a transgender, you don't need to be just like, have that possible beauty, you don't need to have that kind of, that body, that look, that appearance. I think in the end, people just think about you or perceive about you. I think first impression is one thing, right? To have that kind of, beauty, face, and the way that you form yourself. But in the end, the way you treat people, I think that make people more remember about you, right? Because if you don't treat people well, the way you interact with them, I think the in the end, beauty doesn't really help. So come back to yourself, like have that quality on you, and then you know who you are now and what you are doing now and how you help other people. I think trying to, apart from getting it, but giving it to other people, that's the way you really, make a connection with other people and make a connection to yourself that, wow, you have that power within you to give to people, to make a change, and then into that level, that applies to how this to the second question, how organization really empower people, to really make people feel belong. I think when you make people feel belong, because what? It's not just about you just talk that, okay, let's feel belong. No, we never do have in training, right? But how to make people feel, like I mentioned earlier, how you can give people, listen to people, get them speak, and listen to what they need and, what the organization can support. I think now say organization trying to be, okay, let's say purpose-driven organization or social impact driven organization without thinking, well, you can grow your profit as a business, but again, you need to think about people as well because they are the ones who are behind and taking care of your business. If you take good care of your people take good care of your business and profit. I think that's very simple logic. But of course, not every business owner or leaders can do that well because they just, see things, differently.
Black and white.
Yeah, kind of thing. So, yeah, just really understand on that journey of yourself and being yourself like unapologetically is very important thing.
That's amazing, Nikki. I think that's so important that we take a step back and just really find that clarity, who we are, what our purpose is in life. Not only companies need to have their purpose, but especially us individuals too. And I think if we feel like a misfit, maybe there's an opportunity for us to share our vulnerability, why we feel like a misfit, and share that with others. As you said, this can be such a force, in fact, to support others because then they're not alone and we're not alone at times when we feel like we don't belong. So thank you so much, Nikki, for sharing all these insightful experiences. So as we wrap up today's episode, we extend our heartfelt thanks to Nikki for sharing her inspiring journey and invaluable insights with us. Nikki's dedication to promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion, particularly in the LGBTQ plus community, highlights the importance of creating inclusive environments where everyone can really thrive. We hope Nikki's messages have resonated with you and provided encouragement for anyone who may feel like a misfit. Remember, embracing your unique identity and advocating for inclusion can lead to powerful and positive change. Whether you're navigating the workplace, the community, or just life in general, know that your differences are your strengths. So thank you once again for tuning in to the Thriving Misfits podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts, and remember to leave a review. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories and insightful conversations. Until the next time, keep thriving, Misfits.